time it is. Marvin Devine, Hoover, Axel, and you know how we do. Yeah, I got the juice. Whip game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing that. I've been making loot since like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, XL, and Hoover, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof. You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go. Yeah, I got
brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. Cold, these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta roll with ice. Ride or die, 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 ride or die. Cold, these brothers, my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, now I gotta ride or die.
Good evening and good afternoon. Welcome to the first broadcast of Kidney Hub East Africa. I am half your host, Steve Belcher. Unfortunately, my co-host, Moses Kennedy from Kenya, is having technical difficulties with his internet. And unfortunately, this happened at the last minute, the last hour for us to do the first broadcast. So until he gets this taken care of, excuse me, it's just me alone, Steve the kidney nurse. So again, welcome to this first episode of Kidney Hub East Africa. And so glad that wherever you're watching, you are able to join us. This will be a 10-episode broadcast show, broadcasting each Sunday at 12 noon USA and 8 p.m. East African time. And so, hold on, I just got word that Moses Kennedy, the kidney ambassador, is able to be here and join us. So, without further ado, let me bring on the co-host, Moses Kennedy. Hey, Brother Moses.
Yes, Steve.
How's it going?
It's good. It's a great
folks,
evening today.
Good evening. We may have a sound delay because of where Moses is broadcasting from is in near Nairobi, Kenya. So, brother, I thought we were going to have a technical problem. You was able to get it corrected, huh?
Yeah, there's still a technical problem. I don't know what's the matter with my network provider. I'm just trying to fix everything left, right. It's still not getting clear.
That's okay. We'll take the time to use you while we have you. So, Brother Moses, introduce yourself.
Yes, Brother Steve.
Tell us where you're from.
Hi, Brother
Introduce
Steve.
yourself.
Good evening. My name is Moses Kennedy. I am your kidney ambassador. Now, I'm glad to join Steve, and I will be telling you what's all about this new show, especially for our brothers and sisters in East Africa. Thank you, Brother Steve.
Right. So Moses, as I was explaining before you came on, Kidney Hub East Africa is a 10-part series or broadcast as we talk about some of the issues and topics that impact our brothers and sisters in East Africa pertaining to kidney disease. Is that correct?
Yes. It will purely, more so benefit East Africa on so many topics. Yes.
So Moses, share with us some of the issues that our brothers and sisters that are dealing with kidney failure deal with in Kenya. What are some of the issues that happens?
Basically, if I will begin with Kenya, Kenya, the renal industry, it's now, we say it's about 10 years now. 10 years for our industry, it's still a young industry. And surprisingly, Kenya is ahead of East African countries. So you can imagine how other countries within East Africa are in their need of this industry to develop. Right?
Yes, sir.
Imagine a country like Uganda. It has only one dialysis center.
Really?
That is at the National Referral Hospital. Yes, with only 6 dialysis machines. So as much as Kenya has its own challenges, but I tend also to compare others are in serious dire need of this industry to move forward. I don't know what happens to warriors in Uganda who has to travel all distance just to go to that referral hospital. You see?
Yes.
6 machines in a referral hospital in the entire country. I mean, I'm shocked.
Mm-hmm.
You can see. I don't know what happens in other parts, but I'm just giving you an example of a neighboring country, Uganda. So
Yes, brother.
it means it's purely death. To be simple, it's purely death. Because if one country, we only have one dialysis unit that is at the referral hospital. Remember, these referral hospitals, they normally give priority to emergencies. So how
Okay.
crowded, you can see, yeah, how crowded that facility is. And now here is a patient who needs to clean his blood at least twice or thrice a week. It's
Yes, that's unbelievable.
pathetic.
One dialysis clinic for entire country.
Entire country, yes.
Wow.
Entire country, yes. It only has an affiliate of that hospital. I understand with one dialysis machine.
In the
And
21st
I've
century,
realized,
one dialysis machine in a hospital? Brother Moses, you still there? Okay, looks like we got some technical difficulties with Brother Moses in Kenya, but what I gathered from, in Uganda, there's only one dialysis facility to serve kidney warriors in Uganda. Now that's unbelievable if that's true. So until Brother Moses is able to get back on, we'll go from here. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about kidney disease. This is the main character. This is the main character that we're talking about, is kidney disease that's causing to build dialysis facilities, especially here in the United States. But unfortunately, in East Africa, they're not able to get that type of service that happens here. Right at Brother Moses dialysis clinic in Kenya, he and the rest of the kidney warriors do not have a dietitian or a social worker. Now, we know here in the United States how important it is to have a dietitian to help you with your nutritional status and a social worker to help you with your social status, like if you need help with your Medicare forms. So I just got word that Brother Moses is back in. Let's bring him back up to the live stream. So now we're not able to see Brother Moses. Brother Moses, I think you're still having technical difficulties. As he said in the beginning, his internet was unstable. And that's some of the issues that our brothers and sisters go through in East Africa. So how are they able to get their education if they have unstable internet? So as I was mentioning, here in the United States, kidney warriors are accessible to a kidney dietitian and a licensed social worker. Now, a lot of kidney warriors, you go to dialysis, You know, if you didn't have that social worker there, some of them papers that you need signed to get done, maybe for benefits, financial matters, your transportation, goes through the social worker. Now imagine if she wasn't there. If you didn't have one, now you would have to navigate on your own to do a lot of that stuff. Now, think about the brothers and sisters in Kenya or the other East Africa countries that don't have a social worker. It's like, how do I get to dialysis if I live in the countryside and I don't have any transportation? Do I walk to dialysis? Let me bring our brother back on. We have him back while we can. Hey, Brother Moses, welcome back.
Thank you, Steve.
Now, I was just talking about, the issues that some of the warriors may have over in Kenya pertaining to internet connection, how it's unstable. So now it's lack of, they having lack of resources to get to because they can't stay on the internet that long. How bad is that a problem for kidney warriors getting kidney disease education?
Well, it is kidney disease education. It's still a young thing. It's still developing. Remember, it only concentrates on the profit-making part of it. So with the few infrastructure we have in place doesn't actually allow, doesn't give a conducive environment for kidney health education. Number one being, we have few doctors who actually have specialized on nephrology. And that one means now that with a few doctors who are well qualified to handle this condition, they have decided to go into major cities. That is Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu. And then now other parts are left only for the few nurses that are also trained with a lot of challenges to provide services for renal patients. So I just want to give you the picture. That is the picture. So if you see a warrior maybe in Kenya struggle, then however much you might try your part, but there are also challenges of existing infrastructure that doesn't allow the growth. For example, we don't have good legislations or maybe even on patient right or the universal health coverage. We don't have them. They are, but they are still young. I think we'll need more years to move forward. But then if you get into the infrastructure, that is where the challenge lies. I want to give you a typical example, Brother Steve. Of all the renal units we have in Kenya, are you surprised that even a dietitian, CKD nutritionist, book private appointment to see a nutritionist I mean, it's not there in the package. Okay, so if
so
a
you're
patient
saying that
what to eat or medication, even if he's aware. Can you hear me?
yes, sir. So you're
Yes.
saying that the dietitian service is outside of what is paid for in the bundle. You had to pay out of your pocket if you want to see a nutritionist. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, it has to come out of your pocket. That is just
Wow.
one of the challenges. And you know, nutrition and KD are just one thing.
Hey, Moses.
So yes.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we had a question. And when I talked about that you get treatments twice a week, we had a comment of how do kidney warriors survive with doing treatment twice a week? And here in the United States, they do 3 treatments
that is why
a week.
Yes. You know, 2 sessions a week are covered by the national insurance, the government national hospital insurance fund covers only two sessions. It means the third one never factored in that package. You know, the national insurance, national hospital insurance fund, the package is just basics. Okay, so I think like maybe nutrition is not covered, the third dialysis is not covered, and that is why you even see the outcome in Africa as a whole. I mean, Kenya and even Africa as a whole, most countries in Africa as a whole, the life expectancy, you wouldn't compare it maybe with where you are, Steve. Yes.
I'm still here, Brother Moses. I was just giving you the platform
to
share about the lack of care in Kenya. Like you said, 2 services, and if you want to get an extra treatment, it got to come out of your pocket. Now, the kidney disease does it impact all classes in Kenya, or it just impacts a certain class?
It impacts all classes, all classes, whether rich, poor, short or tall. I mean, I see patients from all walks of background. I also see children. Who are affected with this, you know. So, in other words, even imagine taking this patient, an elderly patient with an underage in the same unit. You see?
Yes.
It's got really a lot of challenges.
Sure. So Moses, let's go back because we missed some stuff because of the technical difficulties. Share with the audience, and then I'll share myself. Share with the audience your experience with chronic kidney disease. How long have you had it? What caused it? And how long you've been on dialysis?
It's been long. It's been a long journey. A journey that I will date back from 2017, and
Okay.
it all started. I had no idea. Sometimes you in the first place you will have no idea. Maybe later on, as years come by and you seek knowledge, then you get to understand more and much better with time. Willed in I crashed into dialysis. I got tired one day, could not walk, pain all over. So my mommy was working far away from where I am. And at that particular hour, I was alone. I called my mom that I'm not feeling well. Unfortunately enough, that day,
Hi, Moses. Okay, looks like we lost Moses again. But Moses was sharing about his experience with kidney disease. And like he mentioned, this happens to hundreds of thousands of people. You get kidney disease, and some don't even know how they got it. That's why you always hear the message, go get checked for kidney disease, especially if you have diabetes or hypertension. Those are the two leading causes from kidney disease. Hi, Miss Pam. Thank you for joining from Michigan. Thank you. But that's why it's so important to get checked for kidney disease, especially if you have diabetes or hypertension, because these are the two leading causes of kidney disease, which can lead to kidney failure. The rates, no, they don't, you can't even give a transplant in Kenya. And we're going to talk about that. We have Brother Moses back. Hi, Brother Moses.
thank you, Steve.
Yes, we keep losing you. So we're going to try to get some important stuff out while we have you, the opportunity. Moses, talk about transplants in Kenya. As it stands right now, you can't give someone a transplant unless you're related to them, correct?
Yes. Let me
talk about that.
Yes, let me just go back from my intro.
Sure,
the renal
sure.
industry, yes, the renal industry in Kenya is still a young one. It's just celebrating the 10th birthday the other day. And for those 10 years, we've only had 200 transplants. That is
Wait a minute.
referral
You only
hospital.
had 200 transplants within 10 years?
Yes, 200
Wow.
transplant. That is Kenyatta National Hospital. I don't know about other hospital, but you can imagine if that is the referral hospital. So it is still taking shape. And one, if you have to go for transplant, it's number one, a tedious process. You can even begin the process, and all of a sudden you are cut short. Why? For example, just as you've mentioned, transplant at the moment in Kenya is based on donor relation. The donor must be a relative, purely relative, not even a friend, but purely relative. So you can imagine if at all kidney disease runs in your family, right? Because I know family history is a risk factor. So it means you go ask your brother, he cannot donate. Your sister, he cannot donate. Where else do you go? Nowhere. You remain on dialysis. You understand? But we are championing so that donation can come from anybody or elsewhere. Okay. Now, imagine having that roadblock. That is not just enough. There is also financial implication that the NHF provides only a quarter of the amount. A quarter of the amount. Where do you get three quarters? Out of your pocket. That is still not enough. There is anti-rejectory drugs that you need to use after dialysis. Despite sometimes there is shortage and scarcity, they are also expensive to come by. They are very expensive. So someone like myself, I've always said that if you cannot afford post-transplant drugs, forget about transplant. That is the truth of the matter. Because why? There are cases, several of them, where the failure comes in. This part you are never told, because I told you there is also aspect of profit making from the industry. This aspect you are never told. Few of us talk about it. You are never told that once you do a transplant, the drugs will cost you this, and they are very expensive. It is high time emphasis be made on that. Because why struggle, go for all the process, expenses and cost, then after 1 month you cannot afford, there is no adherence for drugs, then the kidney fails again and you go back to square one where you began. I mean, that is the greatest challenge. That is the bitter part of it when it's come to transplant in Kenya. Yes. Can't hear you. Still unable to hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Brother Moses, can you hear me? Now I can't hear you. Unmute your mic. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right. So,
now,
sorry.
No, go ahead, Moses.
So that is a major challenge when it's come to transplant. Then number two, there is also the legal part of it. You know, when if advocates like myself, we normally advocate for to be you be your own, if you are suffering from this condition, then you be your own ambassador, your own advocate of your health, then even the outcome will be much better than somebody that who doesn't care or doesn't bother any new kind of info. Yes.
So for the majority of patients in Kenya that go to dialysis, do they seek education outside to learn about their condition and their diet, what to eat, what not to eat, since there's no dietitian in the facility?
You know, one thing, most patients in Kenya, uh, uh, there is a serious mental health that really goes undetected. And it's never recognized, because if you want to talk to a patient, maybe that today we have this show and we're gonna talk about this, it's about nutrition. Somebody sees that you are not providing him a solution. Brother Steve, don't you think that is a mental health issue that need to be addressed?
Absolutely.
So it all
Absolutely.
begins from there. Yes, yes, it really begins from there. Because you want to ask him that, for example, when I was doing an advert for this interview, for this show, it was not easy to reach patients, because sometimes you seem to be a bother. You know, the moment get to shows no interest, I also understand. So someone doesn't bother and doesn't show interest, you can't press on. A friend of mine told me, my friend, stop tagging me. I'm tired of this thing. You are making me painful more than. You better stop tagging me. Then I had to ask for forgiveness. So why? Because the information is not yet out there the way it should be. Patients come across few sketchy information just by the way, but then they are not up to it, because no emphasis. No emphasis. I remember the time of COVID, there is a lot of emphasis that we wash our hands, social distancing. That is what we need. That information, the same kind of vigor and strength, we need it when it's come to kidney health. That is where that is why you see we don't have these programs in Kenya, even if they are there, but then it is quite dormant, because you might end up annoying so many than when you keep on preaching, get tested, you know. It's a big challenge, Steve. That is roughly how it is for patients.
And I'm sure it is a big challenge. Even here in the United States, it's a big challenge for education. As you can see, I'm sure everybody doesn't want to hear all the time, especially if they're dealing with kidney failure or on dialysis, constantly hearing about education or anything about it, because let alone they got to deal with it 3 times a week. But here's where the issue comes in for a lot of people now, is you having people that are being diagnosed, getting on dialysis, and not being educated, no matter where you're at. You know, I know in certain places, like overseas, they may not do home dialysis in Kenya, whereas they do it maybe in UK and stuff like that. But granted, here in the United States, they have a plethora of options, many options for the treatment. And what I mean by many, I mean home dialysis, transplant, in-center, peritoneal. And so for the most part, a lot of patients don't know that when they're first diagnosed or they're in a hospital and they find out they have kidney failure. It's almost like they start hemo and they continue that on an outpatient basis instead of knowing what treatment option. They don't find that out until after the fact. Okay. And then by that time, they may have made some decisions based on the information they had at that time. And so, for example, if I'm working and if I have kidney failure, it just come out of nowhere. And now I don't know whether if I should still work or not because I'm trying to recover from kidney failure. And now I got to go 3 times a week, and it may come in between my job, and no one told me about home dialysis. I may make a decision on stop working because there's no other options when there actually is, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't do research. And the point is, Moses, is that constant education is very important, I believe, because you have people being diagnosed every day. Every day. So they may have missed the information that was broadcast last week. And now they have, if they don't do their own research, they wait again until they may see that information they missed that could be very important to their situation. So education and information is very important when it comes to this disease, because some people get diagnosed with it and they could have stopped the progression, but they didn't know what to do to stop the progression. So the progression went on to stage 5 kidney failure. I think we lost Brother Moses again. He's frozen up. Again, this is a problem that they're having over in Kenya with connection to the internet. And again, lack of resources for people who do have kidney disease to get access to information that can help them put their disease in check or stop the progression of kidney disease. Now, until we get our brother back, let's talk about things that you may not even hear about, like some guidelines, good health guidelines for people with chronic kidney disease. If you're watching this, wherever you're at, this applies to you. Some good health guidelines for people with chronic kidney disease. Looks like we got our brother back. Let's see. Hey, Brother Moses, I see we keep losing you.
I'm right back.
Okay.
Yes.
So based on, you heard what I mentioned and talked about the importance of kidney disease education. What do you think about that?
Steve, I think with now Kidney Hub East Africa, we can do our best. At least the little that will impact few, the better. We cannot begin big. We must make fast foot forward. And I'm for sure, when this gets to everyone, that this show will be constant every Sunday, then it means even if somebody misses this Sunday, maybe he still have the hopes. He knows and very sure that come next Sunday, I'll hear at least something from Kidney Hub East Africa. Understand? So we cannot solve the whole problem, but we must play our part, because it is never priority. I don't know, what about Steve in US? How is kidney health education? Is it a package that is covered by the insurance, or are there serious and vigorous advocates in the US?
Sure. It's both.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is they have a government insurance called Medicare. And Medicare, if you have stage 4 kidney disease, Medicare will reimburse the provider 80% for up to, I believe, 6 education sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 6
Yes.
education sessions. But a lot of patients don't know about it. But DaVita, which is a main large dialysis provider here in the United States and across the world, they do offer kidney health classes. Okay. But again, a lot of people don't know about it. It's not like they're looking it up. They're only known if their nephrologist recommends that to them, and if their nephrologist is connected with DaVita. So, but on the other hand, you have advocates such as myself that do kidney disease education shows. But let me tell you, I haven't seen anyone other than myself that do shows on, say, infiltration, how to address an infiltration, or emergency preparedness, or PTH. Try to get into education where patients who are already on dialysis as well can get an understanding on some of the complications that may occur during dialysis. And that's not talked about. And I'm sure not just here in the US, but in Kenya, that you have issues as well, or complications on dialysis, like the dialyzer clotting, or your access not working, or the machine breaks down, or your blood pressure being low and you're vomiting, cramping. I'm sure you had those same issues, correct?
Yes, we have. We have several issues. The other day, I was just learning that tips on fire safety are very important on dialysis unit. You can imagine. I've never heard of it. I just heard of it recently, just a few days ago. What of now if there is a emergency or a disaster, or let me say a natural catastrophe hits? What happens? The answer is very simple.
Yes,
it is
absolutely.
Horrible. It will be horrible.
And that's the thing. It would be. And again, that's the issue here. These units, they do talk about it or have the pamphlets, but it's only given or talked about quarterly or whenever you need to sign off on it. All right, because you got to have it and signed off each quarter when you're supposed to do these education information with the patients. But a lot of patients don't know if something was to happen, and anything could happen. A natural disaster could happen, a tornado, earthquake, just like over in Syria. Do you know how to disconnect yourself from the dialysis machine? And
Steve, yes. I just realized that we still need more to do, because after realizing that in terms of emergency, myself personally, I can disconnect, because I had to inquire and get to know how to disconnect after learning few days back that this is very important. Now the question is, are other patients also in the same position to disconnect, or does anyone bother where the exit door is? I just had to learn where it is. My last dialysis, you know where I got the information. I may not disclose. Now, I had to learn that just on Friday, that I need to get to know where the exit door is. You can now see how we are at a risk, or disconnecting,
yes,
or constant power surge, or sometimes a mechanical problem with the machines and the backup generator. And here comes questions of procurement, that maybe he was never paid the other time. Now is not coming, even if it means people are dying. You see, these are many more questions normally worsen the situation.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And you made
Yes.
a good point about knowing where the emergency exits are. You know, a lot of patients, they just go to dialysis, get their treatment, and leave out. You may have some that know, but the majority, if you say you know where the emergency exit is, they're like, no, I don't know where the emergency exit is. And that's what I'm saying. When you go to dialysis, that's one of the things that patients should know, is where the emergency exit is. Not just the door going back out to the lobby, but emergency exit, just in case you have a fire that you can't get out the way you came in. Then you have to know another exit. And inside the dialysis unit here in the United States, they're required to have emergency evacuation floor plan on the unit to show you where you're at and where the different exits are at throughout the building and how do you get there. But one should automatically know, so if something were to happen, something natural or something, maybe a fire or earthquake or whatever, that you know how to stop the machine, clamp the lines, and able to disconnect yourself from the machine. But that's just one of many things that we will be talking about here on Kidney Hub East Africa. That's just one of many. We're going to be talking nutrition, access information, and that was mentioned when you went off, Moses, something that's very important for people who have kidney disease but not kidney failure is guidelines for good health. I was just about to talk about that. And what I mean by guidelines, I'm talking about kidney function tests.
I think when it's come to renal disease, I want to give a comparison. Maybe here in Kenya, the emphasis is on to, but then the majority that also needs education, kidney health education and nutrition. Maybe from those who are in stages 1, 2, 3, because
we lost Brother Moses. So as I was mentioning, if you was watching, so I was talking about good health guidelines for people with kidney disease. All right, we got him back. Keeps dropping.
You understand?
Yeah, you dropped, Moses.
So I was speaking about the majority lot that need to be assisted, because you remember, going by the statistics, 9 out of 10 are not aware that they have kidney disease. I mean, any form of kidney disease. So they could be working thinking that they are healthy, they are okay, but they are also having other form of kidney disease that without early detection, then it means slowly it will progress. It will progress to end stage where management and treatment cost becomes only dialysis or transplant, and it is quite expensive. So why don't we come up with something that prevents further progression from maybe stages 2 or 1, 2, 3? In other words, it can even be stopped, and say you live with stage 2 or 3 with seeking medical attention, better ways of seeking medical attention, and emphasis on diet. You know, you talk to someone, then you're asked, now if I have kidney disease, so what? You know, there is importance. We must lay foundation. I mean, we must emphasize on this point that you get tested. If you have stage 3, 2, 1, then you can be guided. You can be talked to, and then you get to know that you can still live healthy without dialysis. But if you are left on darkness without knowledge, then it means you will progress to end stage. And this is why advocates like myself, we are trying to not to see other people go through what went, because all the patient I see, they crash into dialysis just the way I did. Yes, they crash into dialysis, not knowing what to do. They are just taken there 4 hours or 3 hours out. So that is where I think Kidney Hub East Africa is coming to step in. Yes.
And so Moses, let me ask you, if someone in Kenya saw this show that may not even know if they got kidney disease or not, and they wanted to go get tested, is there a cost? Is there a place they can go get tested, or they got to pay for it?
Yes. Have to pay for. There is a they can get tested, but they have to pay for it. But
is it expensive?
Leave alone paying. It is. It is, given that most households in Kenya are poor. It is expensive. And you know, the tedious process, more so in government hospital, also undermine the efforts made by few advocates to go and get tested. Because you say, I want to test for my kidney health. Sometimes they tell you that go see a nephrologist. That one means you have to travel to maybe Kenyatta Hospital. There are few referral hospital too, the national referral hospitals. You have to travel there, or you are just tested, and you can have an idea that your kidneys are not working properly. But what next from there is very important to see a nephrologist. It is not easy. Most nephrologists are not accessible in a way that most of them operate in private wing hospitals. So it means you have to book and pay for consultation fee to be seen. It all comes from your pocket.
And
If
so
you are not a civil servant, or you are not formally employed, then it might be a challenge. You go tell someone that get tested, it can be a challenge. Yes. But we want to reach even to those who can still afford, but are still ignorant about it. Because even them, they are not left behind. Yes. Even those there are people who can afford to do kidney function test, but then they ignore. They don't see the importance. They have never seen doctors coming in gears and preaching the gospel of people getting tested, just the way they did during the time of HIV and COVID.
So Moses,
Yes.
I know one topic that we're going to have to discuss, and we don't have the time to discuss it now. In fact, we're pretty much over the show. But one topic is the transplantation, which is hard to believe. So pretty much, if you're on dialysis in Kenya and you want to get a transplant, it has to come from a relative. And if you don't have a relative, then you can't get a transplant.
Absolutely. That is it. If you don't have a relative, you can't get the transplant.
Wow. And so that means that person is stuck on dialysis until their time left on this earth.
Yes, yes. Until he loses his breath, he will go to dialysis, just one day, living one day after the other, one day at a time.
That is unbelievable. And why are they not allowing? Do you know why they not allowing people to donate?
Yes, there is a reason. Because the industry also young and it's shaping up. I think we could have unscrupulous businessmen getting into the business of illegal sale of body organs and tissues. Steve, personally, I've received so many inboxes, people wanting to sell me their kidneys.
You have
they want to sell me
for
a. There are people who are willing to sell. They don't sell.
You have people willing to sell you their kidneys.
Yes, it is illegal in Kenya, but I'm telling you, from the population, just like if you see Iran,
right?
Iran is the only place that yes,
Iran,
just like
the only place
Iran, that they have tried to legalize it, but you know what the challenge is? Because people are getting harvested their organs even without knowing. Why? Because it is not a steady country. It is not a steady country that can allow even strangers to donate. So legislation, number one, our country still needs to work on legislation that I think it's on process. But then without that, it means that if we allow even today, the rich only will get donation. You know, this country is we call it a hustler nation. You will realize that if supposedly the government allow that you can get it from anyone, then people will be soliciting privately. Oh, you want to give it free? I can give you this much. So what happens with those who cannot afford? You get my point, Steve? That is the reasoning behind putting that legislation. Yeah. So it means the poor now are left for the dead, and the rich will have their way. Because, look, somebody will tell you, my friend, I cannot volunteer to give you free, whereas somebody wants to give me $10,000. You understand? I'm just giving an example. So it's better we just maintain level ground, that it's still on relative, but quickly we should work on legislation that allows anyone to donate without monetary value. Yes.
Oops, absolutely, Moses, absolutely. So, yes, very informative. We got Kip Torano said very informative. And so these are the type of topics we're going to be discussing each week and giving tips. And like you said, Moses, Kidney Hub East Africa will be a focal point for kidney warriors to come and get information and see shows pertaining to maybe situations or topics that they may be going through. And like you said, if you can't get a transplant, now you have to stay on dialysis until your last breath. And so if that's the case, then that means one should want to learn all they can to live a quality life in spite of disease, so you can have good outcomes. You can watch your fluid, try to reduce problems with bone disease, anemia. Now we know with this disease that some of that may not be possible without medicinal therapy, but if you could try to attain some information to get some of this through dietary means, maybe it can help the person just maintain a balance, a healthy balance as much as possible, because they can't possibly afford certain medicines like the vitamin D medicine or the erythropoietin medicine to help with anemia, or calcium medicine to help with the calcium. What do you think about that, Moses?
Yes,
With
Steve,
Kidney Hub
I
East
think
Africa being that focal
this
point.
Kidney Hub East Africa is the focal point. I'm saying this because even those who will not be privileged to seek knowledge, at least they will, if by watching Kidney Hub East Africa or through Kidney Hub East Africa and its activity, we can reach few audience that their information, we can trigger the need for them to seek further information, right? Because
yes,
look, if we keep quiet and we don't talk about it, I know we cannot talk about everything on screen, but the little that we will be sharing at Kidney Hub East Africa, I think it will awaken even the have and the have-nots to at least now there will be need to seek education regarding kidney health. For example, a friend of mine tells me that he doesn't know that he can take beef. Then when I answer him that it all depends with your lab works, he says that he has no idea about lab works. So, Steve, we shall focus on various topics, and we will also allow our audience to also share with them their most interest topics and topics that they want to be discussed by professionals like yourself in the industry, and by so doing, I think it will move a step forward. Yes. For example, Steve, you have home dialysis in the US. We don't have it here.
Don't have home
And
dialysis in
I
Kenya.
realize we don't have it here. We don't have it.
Wow.
Just yes, just the few rich can afford to do it. They can procure all that from other countries and bring it here and do it. But then it still has a challenge, because I doubt even the technicians we have can attend to home dialysis. That setup, I don't know whether it does exist. But then home dialysis in Kenya, it is not there. It is not there. And I tend to believe, Steve, we can also talk about this, and it can also trigger a conversation to maybe other advocates or other relevant bodies, and to champion for home dialysis. You know, it has a lot of benefits.
Oh, absolutely.
Compared to in-center hemodialysis, yes. And most patients or even nurses, even health providers. Some of them, they have never heard what is called home dialysis. So because it doesn't exist, maybe they have read it in books, but it doesn't exist. So I think if we create that vigorous awareness, then it means home dialysis, we can trigger conversation. Yes, that is the
Yeah,
point.
possibly maybe they can
And
get home
yes,
dialysis in Kenya.
possible. Because Steve, for example, I was reading about two types of home dialysis. The the cycler one and it is called automated,
Oh, that's with the
continuous
PD,
automated.
with the
Yes,
peritoneal.
and and continuous.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's called. Uh, there are two types. I wanted to differentiate. The one
Oh,
that
that's
we
two
use,
types of
leave
peritoneal.
alone the one we use the machine. There are two types of peritoneal dialysis. So the one that is not automatic, it's called, how do we call it?
Oh,
I want to give a
continuous
typical example
ambulatory
with that.
peritoneal dialysis.
Dialysis,
The
yes.
one that you had
Not
the
automated,
bags
yes.
and you can go to work and take it
Yeah,
to work
where
with you.
you can have,
That's
yes, where you can
manual.
have the bags with you.
Yes.
Yes, the manual one.
Yes.
And you have dialysis at home. You only need to have what it takes to have that dialysis at home. And then you can even change. It means you can have as much time as possible
A lot of
because you can
freedom.
do it even passively while sleeping. Yes, you can do it passively about sleeping, and better outcome. You are not restricted to food compared to in-center hemodialysis, where you must go just on a scheduled day. It is possible to do home dialysis even at work. It is very conducive.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
think
I agree with you.
that is where, yeah, that is where we should be headed now as a country. And through Kidney Hub, I'm optimistic that such things we shall address them. The most important, letting the knowledge to get outside, get to communities, and I think we'll be making progress.
Oh, absolutely. We had one comment from Leisha Richmond. She says food is key to stopping progression, which I agree. Food and possibly certain medication like the ACE and ARBs. Some doctors will not give referrals, and finding the root cause is key, which I agree with Alicia 100% because you have doctors that wait to the last minute. They just tell you that, oh, your numbers are good, but they don't actually tell you the numbers are bad until that time comes when you could have been doing something about it if you actually knew the number. You know, when people say here, your numbers are good, then they're not thinking about anything else. They probably continue to do the same thing, not knowing that good could be near the high end of possibly getting into the next stage of kidney disease. So, Moses, we're over the broadcast, but just want to wind it down. And you have any last comments before we officially sign off on the first broadcast?
Yes, uh, the bottom line of CKD is very simple. Number one, you need to get tested. That is where you can begin from. Thereafter, if you have known where you are, then you seek medical attention. From your primary health care, you need to see basically a nephrologist. Then discuss with the nephrologist ways forward on this matter. Ask as many questions as possible. Because let me tell you, the most important thing, if CKD is detected early, its progression can be delayed or stopped so that it doesn't get to end-stage kidney disease where there are only two treatment options: transplant and dialysis, of all which are costly and very expensive, and in most cases, inaccessible. Thank you.
Wow. Very powerful. So, Moses, we'll definitely be back on next Sunday with a new topic. Hopefully, we'll have some people will see this show and come and get the education needed to live a fruitful and optimum life despite of being on dialysis or having kidney disease. So, Moses, I thank you so much, brother, for coming on. And I look forward to these 10 episode shows that we have in the future and a lot more. You're right. We still got more work to do.
Absolutely, Steve.
So,
absolutely, Steve.
Yeah, I want to go.
Somebody
Just going through
says,
some. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm glad you manage out of your busy schedule actually make it this day also possible.
Oh, absolutely,
I know.
absolutely, Moses.
Yes, yes.
All
Yes.
right. Okay, Moses. So until next week, guys, thank you for watching and continue to support us at the FIGO Initiative on Facebook, Steve the Kidney Nurse, Facebook and YouTube, where you can get a lot of kidney disease education information, same as the FIGO Initiative on Facebook. With that being said, guys, thank you for joining. We'll see you next week. Take care,
Just add
Moses.
one
See you
thing.
then. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes, to our viewers, I want to assure you that this broadcast will get better with time. So don't lose hope. There are some few technical hitches, but we're gonna fix it. Stay on, always tune every Sunday. Expect Steve, the kidney nurse, and I myself, Moses Kennedy, your kidney ambassador. Thank you.
All right, Moses. See you next week. Take care. All right. Thank you guys for watching Kidney Hub East Africa. Peace and blessings. Thank you.